Hello, it's Haskell learning time. Before I get stuck in today, I just want to point out a free online Haskell conference at haskell.love in case you haven't seen this already. It's coming in September. It's got some interesting looking talks. It's free. Yeah, so if you're into Haskell, then check it out. It is in European time, so if you're in the States, you might miss the first half, I guess. But I'm sure you can catch up on the videos later. But yeah, it looks like definitely worth the money given it's free, but it looks pretty good. Okay, so let's go back to Ransom Haskell. Let me try and find what I was doing. So last week I was rewriting all of my commands to use a different structure, to use the RWS monad rather than taking a state and returning state, and also doing some IO in the middle and putting all the config stuff into my state object, which wasn't quite right. And it was going pretty well, and it made the testing a lot easier as well, which is quite nice. Plan for today is to continue with that. So I've got 3 left to do. Shuffle, list, and show current. And then I need to redo the plumbing here so that run command works with the new action format. And then also so we print stuff out at the end. And worry about config loading as well, try and separate that out from initializing the state. So that's planned for today. And then if I get time, I've got another command to add, but I don't think I'll have time. I never have time. So let's get cracking with either lists or shuffle. I'm not quite sure which. Let's have a look at actions. What have we got? Listing be interesting. Okay, so with listing, it's currently printing. In fact, maybe we can have a look at show current first because it's shorter. Similar thing though, but at the moment it's running under IO, and it's running under IO because it's printing out some information. I'm going to change this to use the writer. So in the writer, I want to put one of these items. So I guess put the current item in there because it's the current person. And then when I look at listing, I can put lots of these items in. So I can put the current item, and then I can put other items as well. So mimicking this style where I identify the current person. But let's start with show current. I'm going to go and write a spec for that. It should be really quick. It's a bit of a mess, this, but I am in the middle of refactor, so it's probably okay. Test show current. Just going to grab, I guess, one of these. Oops. Copy and paste driven development. It's the way to go. Oh, it didn't work. That's not the right. What's the key combination for grabbing the next line? No, that's duplicate. I thought it was that. There we go. Test show current. Okay. Describe show current. I guess show. It's probably better than show current. Let's go with that. What command was that? No. Okay. So it returns to current person. And that's all it's going to do. Okay, so we're going to exec it with the, oops, need to exec show current. I might just rename it to show, but let's import it for now. We can rename it in a second. Okay, so we're going to go show current, and it should return the current item, which is presumably Beppy at the start. And the index should still be 1, so nothing will have changed. If the index is 1, I think it's actually 0 index, isn't it? So it is 0 index. Stack REPL. I've forgotten how arrays work. 10. So I say, is it bang 0 to get the first element out? No. Bang 0. So 0 is first element, and numbers 1 is the second element. Okay. So if the IDX is currently 1, then it is going to be puppy that comes back, and the index will be 1. Okay. So this doesn't work, obviously. Not obviously, but it doesn't work because show current. I haven't changed the type signature yet. So let's go and do that. Yeah, when we compile, there's no point in trying to run it. So we're going to change the type of this to be currently it's action prime. Okay. So the only thing we want to do here, what do we want to do? We want to get some state out. So I'm taking argument of S. We're going to get the state out, and then we're going to get the names and the index from there, and then we're going to put that into the writer. Okay. So we can say, can we say names? I don't know if we can destructure this. I can't remember how to write code. Not a good start. And this is get. We need to let these things. No. Don't let them. They come from monad. It's not S. It's auto state. Right. Okay. I'm failing to destructure. Let's. Illegal use of punning for field index. Use name puns to permit this. I think I will use that. There we go. So names and index. So now we can say tell, and we'll say current item. And current item takes a name. Well, we can just say names, couldn't we? IDX. So that might be it. So we grab names and index from the state, and then we use them here just to get the current item out. Is that likely to work? It's running away. Got 2 errors here, so actually nothing's going to work. It's because, well, it's not actually the reason I thought it would be. But I call this test show. Oops. And down here, I left it as show current, so I should have just renamed it properly. The other error we're going to have is in main, because it's still going to refer to this command. Well, that's why I didn't do this before, because I end up deleting the first one. What I could do is, if I comment that out, and that out, that out. Oh, I can't do that. How can I create some empty command? I could just actually shuffle is still available, I think. So I can maybe say it's that. Yeah, it's not right, but it should at least compile. Well, I'm glad I got a vote on my poll. And I'm glad it is indeed a poll. I was worried there for a moment there might not be a poll. Test running, nothing popped up, so they passed, which is good. Okay, so that was the rewrite of show current. I actually think I want to rename it. Oh, there's no helper for renaming. No. Oh, so close. There you go. That's not good, is it? That should introduce some errors. Oh, that's why we didn't call it show, because show is obviously used by prelude. I keep saying obviously, none of these things are ever obvious. Okay, so back to my spec. I'll rename this test show current. And here, no, that one. Okay, let's make sure it still runs, but it should be fine. That was your current. So now we've got that, we can do list, which has got more stuff in it. So test list under IO again. Oops. So test list is hspec and then describe. And then it turns everyone in the list. Okay, I'm just going to grab this. Okay, so in here, now we get the state. So the state should end up being unmodified. It's just going to be the initial state. When we're listing it, well, in that actions, yep. Okay, so it's going to have other item of Beppy. I thought I would wrap it in quotes for me. It doesn't do that. Other item. There you go. Other item of Beppy, and then current item of Beppy, because that's the current person, and then other item of Bippy. Okay, so now I won't compile because list is wrong. Before I forget, I'm going to get rid of this because I think we now have our test working. Test show next. Test show next, test next. Okay, back to actions. So let's take our list. It's not test next, it's test list. Here we can change our type signature now to be action prime. I'll fix this in a minute. So we don't take S. Okay. So we don't print this first thing out. We don't return that. We need to do a tell with the content. So we want to take our list of names. Don't think, do we need to do map index as before? We need all this stuff. So we're not going to do put string or onlines it. We're actually just going to tell that thing, I think. Okay, so we can say the names of S, and that's the only thing we need, isn't it? And we need the index of S as well. So we can say auto state with names and IDX is, sorry, comes from get. I'm going to change this so we've got, what's int? So what's I in this case? I is the index. Okay. I'm just going to put something in at the beginning, which is the index. And then we can say add prefix. IDX. Okay. So I'm hoping it's upset. Oh, yeah. Names S is wrong as well. That's cool. Okay, so it's giving back a list of characters, or a string basically, and it wants a list of these things. It was going to tell them. So this add prefix, I'll rename in a second, but basically say if it's the current item, then say current item n. Otherwise, it is other item n. It fixes for me. That won't. Okay. Oops. Go back to where you are. So this is auto item. Okay. And then so we call names. Call from list and that, so we can map over them with the index. We do add prefix, which is going to add current item if the element we're looking at is the same as the index in the state, and if it's not the same, then we'll say other item. Okay, I want to rename this to maybe say like to auto item. Don't know what a good name is, but it's better than add prefix. Is that going to work? Let's find out. Doing that by doing that. Looks like Command Shift G does some kind of git thing. Cool. Test pass. Apparently. So someone here should be list somewhere. Next. No, I can't see it in there. I don't know where it's gone. Oh, list. Sorry, list is here. Returns are in the list. Good work. Cool. So that was list. That was kind of straightforward. Then we're only left with one of these things, which is shuffle. Before I do shuffle, though, I'm going to go back to main. I'm going to have a look at basic commands, I think. So I'm going to change commands to take this new action and to run it properly. So it's going with action prime. Command, in fact, let's not do that because we don't want to end up with action prime. Let's just bite the bullet and rename action. So we can say that will stay the same. In fact, let's grab this and pull it up to here. Go to that. Delete that. No. Okay. Now action is exported by action and action. Yes, because action prime was already being exported. I just renamed it Okay, so now we change type of action, which I guess is what I wanted to do, but this should not be full of problems. There are apparently 6 problems. Let's go to the first one. Okay. So usage is not an action. That's interesting actually, because usage I can't just use in this same way. I need access to I/O because it's going to print out a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to change usage to do something different. What are we going to do here? We're going to take auto state. I'm going to do something under I/O. It's not going to be a normal action anymore. Okay. So usage command here, we also want the state. I'm going to come back and fix the usage ones in a second. So let me just comment this out and this out. Oh, that's not going to be good, is it? What to do? Can we just put a hole in for now? Yeah. Okay. If we get a command and we want to run the command, and if we get command args and we want that, so maybe what I'm going to do is try and grab the command and assign it to a variable and then run it all together later. Right, so what do I mean by that? I mean a command is going to be something like okay, safe head args of, we're under a do block here, so I'm going to let that. Will you fix this for me? No, you will not. Of nothing. Okay, so DC action was my default command action, I think. Default command action, my default command help. Okay, so we can just get the default command out. Or can we? I'm a bit confused what my structure was here. I was just thinking if it comes back as being nothing, we can assign it to command and we can deal with it later. So our command would be something like is maybe action. That's what I want to end up with. Okay, so if it's nothing, we'll come back to this in a second. Why is this a syntax error? What's the problem? Okay, nothing. Will it fill a hole for me? No, it can't fill a hole. Let's do nothing. Okay, if it's just a string, I want to do this thing where I look up in the commands. In fact, you know what? I want to keep most of this, so let's stick with this. So we'll say nothing. If it's this, we'll say it's just a. Here we'll say it's just a applied to tail-args. And here we will say nothing. Okay, but we want to assign this now, so we can say let command be that. All right. Let me just say pure for a second to shut the errors. Okay, so this just that. So now we have a situation where, ignoring the default for a second, when we ask for the commands, we will end up with either just a command or nothing if it couldn't match that command. So then we just take that maybe statement out and whoops, missed. Do that and say just that. Not quite right. So div commands is the default, I think. And we are trying to pull the action out. So D, if it's just that, then we want to apply DC action to get A out of it. What's the problem here? No, so DC action is coming back as something different, I think. Suppose we might have just nothing. Right, that's what we want, because this will now come back as being nothing if nothing is found. So this div commands in itself is a maybe. So what I'm doing is I'm applying, so basically F mapping DC action over this maybe type. So if it's nothing, then this doesn't get applied, we get nothing back. And if it's just a command, then this does get applied to it. I think that's true. So let me just check that my understanding of this is correct. So we have, oh, it doesn't matter. If we have something that's like a just for, if we apply, let's say, +2 to it, then that should be 6, just 6. But if you do this to nothing, you get nothing back. Cool, that's what I expected. Okay, so we got a command. So now we can say case command of, oh, thank you. So nothing, we will just call usage with our list of commands and our state. Okay, and here, go on, fill in exec for me. Oh, not quite. We are going to say use constructor node, done the case splitting command. Wonderful. Okay, let's work here. So we know that the writer and the new state is equal to exec state. No, exec RWS, sorry, it's what we're using. With config and the state. Let's go back into spec for a second. I've got examples of running this, so it's the action first, then the config, and then the state. And this is a pair because we're working in Haskell, not Go anymore. I'm going to the do block, so let's let that equal so the action, which is RW, which we know is A, and then the config, don't know where I'm going to get this config from, and then the state, which is S. Okay, so we're going to have to pass in a config as well. So give our commands, our config, and our state. Okay, so we have W, which is the output from the writer, and then S, which is output from the state. And we will return, I mean, we can just return the state. What's the error here? So it couldn't match the type actions auto item with auto state. The expect was auto state, auto state. We already have an S, so that's not going to help, is it? But why does it think W is the state? Have I got these arguments wrong around? Yes, okay. So S prime, so it doesn't clash the names, and W because it's a writer. Okay, we're getting closer. So we'll change this back to be I of auto state. I'm going to put my pure S back at the end. For now. Right, so when we call run command, we give it a config and the state. It works out what the command is. If there's no command, it runs usage and then just returns the state back. If there is a command, then we exec it we get the new state back, and then we print it out. It's not good enough though, because we need to return the writer as well. So we can return this auto state and the list of auto items. Okay, so here S prime and W in there, and here let's just stop pissing about with the state in here. We don't need it. We just need list commands to print out, and then we say nothing. What? Couldn't match auto state here. Oh yes, I've dropped the auto state out. Okay, so we just say usage with the commands, and then we can say pure the state and nothing. Okay, so given list of commands, we're given the config, we are given an initial state. That's right, because it'll be loaded from disk, and then we return a new state and list of items, but we run it all under IO because we might want to print out the usage information. Okay, so presumably that's very broken in main now. Oh, I guess actually, yeah, I didn't expect that one. Shuffle this one I haven't written yet, so let's comment it out and then uncomment the rest of them. Everything else should work. Okay, and now we can't call run command like this because it needs to take some more arguments. I don't know, I can do this in my fancy way because I'm passing 2 arguments in now. So we can say config is load config, initial config, I can't remember what it's called. Let's jump to initial state. Have we got any kind of initial config? We do not yet. Do we load a config? We don't, do we? It doesn't need to use IO. Okay, this is going to become a mess because at the minute, the file path is hard coded. I want to start to fix that so that you can pass in the command and argument. So it'll have a default, but you can pass in an argument to it, and that will then let you load the state from a different file rather than just assuming it's always the hard coded people2 in this directory. The seed, however, will be generated, so this will have to be under IO. And it's going to give you back an auto config. Initial config is auto config. Oh, I'm going to generate the state. I'll need to do something a little bit cleverer. So this can now move up into here. And then file path. I'll keep hard coding it for now. People2. Okay. And then we'll return this. No, didn't mean to do that. So I wanted to fill them in for me rather than disabling the warning. File path is file path. I just hard code it there. There's not much point putting in a variable for that. And what's my other argument? It's seed. Okay. Can I join that? Will it not let me? No, not allowed to do that. Then initial state, I'm going to take the seed out of here. It's already gone from there. And the file name should go as well, I think. But it's going to need to be given the config. So we'll go other config and turn that. I'll have C in here. Okay, we won't do that. We will say we could do our auto config of file path comes from ask. Let me just turn on field name field pans. Ask should come from, oh no, we're given, okay, we're given C, so I don't need to ask for it because we're not running out in RWS anymore. But we're going to read file of file path of C. Okay, and then I can just get rid of that. And I should be able to get rid of file name from up here. And get rid of that because I don't need it anymore. Okay, cool. So our initial config will be set up with this data that doesn't change when the program runs, and initial state will read the state out of whatever that path is set to, and then it gets the names out of there, and then it builds a state. That's cool. So that's cool. I mean, everything's gonna be hardly broken here. So back to here. We should be able to say initial we need to source per second. So we say C is that, S is initial config using that. Right. And then we can say run commands or more to the point, we can say new state and the writer running the commands. Not quite like that. So it's going to be running commands, but commands and C and S, I think it was. And then we call save state on S prime, and we still need to print result. Okay, let me just get rid of some compiler errors, and then we can take a look at printing the result. So here, state does not export file name, that's fine. That's what I want to do. Next error, save state. Okay, it's given an auto state, it should be given an auto config and an auto state, and runs our IO. So we got config and S. So IDX and names come from S. and this is the file path of C. Okay, how many errors are left? 5 errors left. That's great. Okay, so this one I can just import. Why should config them itself? What? Oh, if we go back to state for a second, I'm not export. No, I am. Oh, I'm not. Initial config. Initial state. Okay. Not set off yet. So now we can add this. This should be initial state, not initial config. And save state is going to take C and S. 1 error left. Okay, hopefully, I'm going to delete file name, everything should still be fine. I said from the specs. Right, okay. Given we don't use it here, should be okay. Okay, if we go back to main, no point in running it yet because it won't tell me anything. So print result. Or print output or whatever it is. It's going to be given a list of auto item, and it's going to run under IO. Import that. So now we can say result items is so we could say like map them and then print show item items where show item of current item I is the string we used before. And show item of other item I is. Just going to go back to actions for a second. I want to see what I changed here. Oh, I want to see what it looked like before. So it was space blah blah blah, and otherwise it's space dash space space. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, so it's space dash space space plus I. Okay, we'll do the edit reduction. Okay, and then police into scope. Try the current item should have an argument has been given none. Oh, we go to equal sign and go back one and do that. Okay. Is that gonna work? Nice bets now. So we're gonna loop over these things and print out whatever we turn it into. It's not great actually because there won't be any new lines. I don't think that's the right answer because we should be able to just intercalcate or whatever the command is to do that. But let's do that for a second. I'll go back to it if it works. Print result. W. Okay. No compiler errors, so let's give it a go. Stack run list. It's the most ambitious one, I think. Or at least it has some output, so I can see what it does. Oh, it's not quite right, but it's not far off. Run a single thing, will it show Bippy? And then next we'll say nothing. Hopefully. Oh, next shows you who the current person is, of course. Okay. And then run again, it should still show Betty, and then list. So apart from that, I can't print properly. We're getting there. Oops. So put strlen rather than print. Get rid of these things. And try it again. Okay. There we go. It kind of works. Cool. How are we doing? We could go and rewrite shuffle, I think. Yeah, I think that's okay. I was just wondering if I could refactor this a bit, but I think that's okay. If I get initial state to give me back the config, I could pass it straight into run command. Is that worth doing? I guess this is quite clear. I think maybe I just leave it like this. There's no point in trying to condense it anymore. So let's have a quick look at shuffle. Current list. Oh, I mangled this. Oh, because I changed the type of S, didn't I? So I needed to worry about the seeds. Okay. So go back to spec. We can kind of cheat because we know that our seed is 2, so we know what order it comes back in. Although I forget what it is. I think it's Puppy Pippy Peppy, but I can't remember. There was a thing about removing from the end where it got shuffled. Maybe not Puppy Peppy. I don't know where Bippy goes in that list. We'll find out. In fact, can we kind of, no. I was going to say, can we do it from the command line and just see what comes back? But maybe we can. So we do a stack REPL. And then can we say random.shuffle? Takes an int. What does take an int and not a seed? How does it work? Oh, okay. It calls the generator internally. That's cool. So we can say run.shuffle to our list of names is back here in the spec. It is Peppy, Puppy, and Bippy. Not great. Asked for the type. It told me what the type was. That's not really what I wanted it. Okay, it's Puppy, Peppy, Bippy comes back as. Right. So I'll just put it randomly in the file at the end. Test shuffle is a type. IO. Test shuffle is itch spec to describe shuffle to it returns the shuffled list. Right. Hold up a second. No, I'm going to type it again. So we got S and W is exec. RWS shuffle, the command we want. It's going to take initial config and initial state. And then we can say S should be S, but the names now are Puppy, Beppy, and Bippy in that order. And I guess the index should be 0. Okay, so type of this is wrong. Been there for a second. So we'll make this an action. Okay. So what do we want here? We can say autoconfig seed comes from ask. Grab it the config. Maybe it should be in a do block. You're right there. Now we can say put s, but names is equal to basically this stuff. So r.shuffle seed names of s. We don't have s. Names of s and idx is 0, and that should be implementation, I think. Run that test. It's taking its time, and it worked, which worries me, so I'm just going to deliberately break it. Never trust a test that passed first time. And nothing. Oh, because I'm not running the test, that's why. I was right to be suspicious. Again. Okay, one failure, which is good. I'm expecting it to be 0, but it's not. Go back to here, and then we can change the index to be 0, which is what it's supposed to be. You run the test, and it should pass. Cool. So quite a few changes. We've done a lot of specs, which is nice. Our random, just delete maybe shuffle, I don't know why. I think I moved that in line somewhere, or maybe I ended up 2 copies of it. Auto state, we've now added the initial config, and we changed the way we generate the state to use the config as well. So I still need to go back maybe next week and set up the config properly. Commands is just all different, actions is all different, and main is a bit different. Going to main for a second so I can get rid of this comment out stuff because that's no longer applicable. No, let's not. Let's put it back in. Oh, what have I done? Okay. So we should now be able to take a list and shuffle it. Let's just check that works. Stack. Run list. Stack run shuffle. List again. And it's now a different order and coincidentally the same person at the start, but there's no reason that would persist. There we go. Okay. So that works. Let me just state that as well then. So I'll probably need to do some more tidy up next week, but we have refactored to use RWS. There we go. Okay, so next week I will worry about config. I'll try and add my new command. I will take a look at this file and maybe clean it up because it's getting very long. This whole function is just too much stuff. Yeah, like this, I could just pull out to function itself. And in actions was the thing I thought about tidying up. What was it? I don't know. It might be just maybe shuffle stuff as well because I think that gets repeated in remove. Maybe not. Kind of looks okay. That's the same as shuffle, but anyway. There was a thing I was thinking. Oh, maybe it's r.shuffle where you pass in the seeds and the names. It's probably this I was thinking about. Or you could give it the config and the state and it could get those for itself. But I don't know, I quite like that this doesn't need them. I might just refactor as well to make it more generic. There's no reason why it needs to be a list of names or a list of strings. It's just shuffling any list. So yeah, actually maybe I won't tidy up that much. We'll have a look at it next week and see. Probably just keep tweaking it as I go. But yeah, otherwise, we're getting there. It's not a huge amount left to add, but we can start to finish it up maybe next week and the end will be in sight. Cool. Thank you for watching and taking part in my amazing poll. And yeah, maybe see you next week.